Coming up next on the Filthy Rich Cleaners podcast.
How do you handle dog poop? What if there's blood on the counter? Money on the counter, but it's not a tip. They're locked out. Like all of these scenarios that your cleaners are going to run into.
From your first dollar to your first million, welcome to the Filthy Rich Cleaners podcast, presented by ZenMaid. Join your host, Stephanie Pipkin, founder of Serene Clean, as she shares proven tips, tricks, and hard-earned lessons. Whether you're just starting out or ready to scale, get ready to discover how to build your own cleaning empire. Let's roll up our sleeves and dive in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Filthy Rich Cleaners podcast, the cleaning business podcast. And in today's episode, we will be meeting with Brenna Sledge, and she is the owner and founder of Busy Bees Cleaning Company, and she is in Nashville, Tennessee. And Brenna has had such an incredible growth trajectory and truly has such a heart for giving. And I can't wait for you guys to hear about all of her giving initiatives and how we can use giving and being really community involved as a core part of our business. I know it has been for Serene Clean, and that's why this conversation I've been looking forward to so much. So Brenna, thank you so much for joining me. This is going to be awesome.
Thank you so much, Stephanie. I'm so excited to be here and just so honored that you came alongside with ZenMaid to do this podcast. I've been listening to it constantly, and it's been such a source of inspiration and resources, and I'm just so thankful. I wish we would have done this years ago. So.
Well, I certainly have been learning a ton too. That's the beauty of it is we never stop learning, always being kind of a student of the game and of others.
Absolutely.
And really for our listeners, it's not everything that you hear is going to resonate with you. Take what you like, try it out, and maybe it doesn't work out. But the whole point is to give you guys ideas and to also just, have enjoyable conversation and talk about some of the terrible things that have happened to us, and we can
Absolutely. And there's been a few, that's for sure.
So Brenna, start off, tell us your story, because you started your cleaning business at one would think the most horrific time to start a business, which is 2020. So can you give us your history and backstory?
Absolutely. So we are coming up on 5 years this August. So like a lot of other people, ironically, we completely did this by accident. So I went to school, and my trade before this was massage therapy. So I had my own massage therapy business in the state of Missouri for a few years. And of course, the pandemic hit in 2020. And my husband is military. We have moved around a lot in the last decade. So that's where we were currently stationed at the time. And unfortunately, in my line of work, you can't do body work and social distance. So I was out of work at the time.
Oh, no, we knew that.
It was very difficult. I mean, it's just impossible to do our job. So when we were really quarantining, I started thinking is this really what I'm meant to do? What am I going to do if this doesn't, resolve in a quickly manner? And ironically, while we were at Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri, and we had our own Airbnb. And that's kind of what opened the door for me to kind of get my feet wet in the cleaning industry and hospitality specifically. And so my husband and I, we owned, managed, cleaned everything from start to finish, our own Airbnb. And it also was flourishing despite the pandemic. And so that's what kind of got me started. We were in a transition of, he was going to be restationed to Fort Campbell, Kentucky. So we were going to be really close to our hometown of Nashville, Tennessee. So we moved in the summer of 2020 in the heat of the pandemic. I had 3 children at that time, and I was really just looking for a way to get out of the house. I was getting, I was a stay-at-home mom. My husband hadn't been able to join us yet due to his military orders, and I was just looking for something to do. Our neighborhood page had a Facebook group for the neighbors, and someone just posted randomly one day, hey, I really need some help cleaning. I don't want to hire a company, just an individual. And I hopped on very quick, and I said, I would love to help you. I would love to help clean. And so I did, and I thought it was just going to be a one-off thing, a little side hustle. That was so fun. I really enjoy it, and I'm good at it. And so after I cleaned for her, a couple days later, a week later, I was getting these cold messages on Facebook from complete strangers, and they were like, hey, I would love to get an estimate from you. And I'm like, for what? What do you need an estimate for? What is going on? And so I found out that the neighbor had recommended me on another local Facebook group, and it was total accident. I didn't expect this, but I really love it. I haven't looked back. I no longer obviously do massage therapy, but yeah, it started in August of 2020, heat of the pandemic. I was obviously wearing a mask and gloves and all of those things. And then as the pandemic started to conclude, thankfully, I no longer had to wear a mask. And I remember going into clients that I'd been serving for months and months and months, and I would ring the doorbell and they'd be like, "We never knew what you looked like." And it was like, oh yeah, like I've been wearing a mask for almost a year. So, but yeah, that's how Busy Bees was born. Started cleaning for that neighbor in August of 2020. And by December of 2020, I told my husband, I was like, I can't keep up. Are we doing this? And so by January 21, hired our first employee and haven't slowed down since. So it's been a blessing.
How many employees are you guys at now?
Oh my goodness, over 20 at the moment. And it's ever evolving, as you know, every week it's different. So
yeah, it depends on the day. That's what I always say.
Depends on the day. I'm like, if you asked me right now, I'd have to sit here and count. But yes, this is the most we've ever had, and we're growing every day. I always tell people we are always hiring. I'll never turn away someone that is interested and willing. So
absolutely. Yeah. Well, first of all, what an incredible story, and just kind of stumbling into it, if you will, but clearly you have quite this was meant to be. Obviously, I truly feel that way.
Thank you. And I do too.
You're only, you're 5 years in. I'm about to hit 6 years in, and the point of me mentioning that is for our listeners to know that this can be a very quick thing sometimes, yes. and sometimes it does tumble a lot faster than you think it's going to. Doesn't mean it always happens that way. A lot of times it's the opposite, but, it really can be a whirlwind. And I hope that encourages everyone to know that this industry, like the sky's the limit. It really feels that way. Like the demand is only going to keep growing. I know a lot of people freak out with, like, oh my gosh, we have a recession coming or blah, 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 or inflation. And it's like, we've gone through a lot of crazy stuff in the past 6 years of business, and meaning like from the economy and the world in general. And it hasn't slowed things down. And I'm not saying that is not the case or can't be the case in the future. But I mean, if you got a good service and you know how to sell and you know how to deliver, like you really can be really recession proof, I feel.
Absolutely. I agree. I feel like our industry it's almost easy because we're never going to run out of business. There's always going to be somewhere to clean, something that's dirty. It's not like a consumable product where they buy it or they have the service one time and they're not going to want more. So we're very blessed in that sense, for sure.
Yeah, the reoccurring nature of our business, it just allows you to keep building and building and building that base. You don't have to keep selling to 100 new people every month because it's like you're just building that baseline. As long as you can keep them happy and keep them from leaving, it makes like a huge impact very quickly, potentially. And, that just makes me think of you guys like having such a interesting background and experience with the vacation rental side. And I know that you now partner with a vacation rental, like a luxury vacation rental company, correct?
I do. Yes. So that also, like I said before, the Airbnb industry was so fun. It was addicting almost to have that ownership side, dealing with the guests, the cleaning, the laundry. I loved that. I don't know if you're familiar with Enneagrams, Stephanie, but I'm an Enneagram too. So I'm the helper and I'm the hostess. So I feel like this job, if you will, is so much bigger than just a job. I feel so passionate about it. I wake up every day thankful to do it. It's always something different. It's not your typical 9 to 5 that, there's always something new and unexpected. And so with the Airbnb company that we've partnered with, we had partnered with several along the way, by the way, but the one that we're with now is absolutely phenomenal. So it's called Kalos Dwellings, and they are a luxury boutique property management company here in Nashville and also in 30A, Florida. And so it started by, they're also a entrepreneur company. So 2 couples in Nolensville, Tennessee, which is where I started Busy Bees, they founded this company and it has just blossomed. And so they have over, I think, 60 properties in Nashville and over 100 in 30A. So when we met, again, kind of by accident, we ended up just partnering with them. And so they, rightfully so, have about 3 cleaning companies that they use to manage all of their properties, and Busy Bees is one of them. So I kind of get to see both sides. I still get that hospitality, experience, and it's very busy. I mean, Nashville is not the same Nashville that it was, 30 years ago when I was growing
I've
up.
heard that many times.
It is insane. Yeah, like the bachelorette, the bachelor parties, the birthdays. I mean, Nashville is up and coming, and so if you have an Airbnb in Nashville, you're going to stay very busy. And so we do. I mean, we clean the Airbnbs multiple times a week, and that's been a really great avenue for us to keep that business flowing. And so I highly recommend, if you can get in with an Airbnb or a property management company, that will be a consistent source of business for you.
Did they find you, or did you solicit them? Because I'm sure everybody's like, oh my gosh, yes, especially if you're in an area that this is good for. Like for us, vacation rentals, they exploded during COVID, but it's very kind of cyclical based on season. Like wintertime slows down considerably for us. So being that you are in a place that's not the case, it sounds like, how do you find these companies to work with?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want it to sound cliche, but social media has been such a huge resource for us, and that's how I found Kalos. So they had, in a local Facebook group, that's where most of our business has come from in our networking, the owners posted for a position, I believe it was the field operations coordinator for their business, and it was something that I tell them all the time, like, I didn't need this other job. Like, Busy Bees was growing. It was just to a point where it was kind of running itself, and I was able to take a step back. And I'm a kind of a workaholic. If most of the people closest to me know this.
Things are going too well.
It's I get bored, and I was just
some chaos.
Yes, can't get enough. Yeah. And so I had that itch to get back into the Airbnb world, because obviously my husband and I sold the home that we had in Missouri when we relocated to Nashville, and I had just had that itch. And the owner had posted on a Facebook group the job listing, and I applied, and I said, I know this is kind of different. You probably weren't looking for a cleaning company owner to do this role, but my role has evolved with the company through the last year, which has been so fun. They gave us the freedom to have feedback and enter, new ideas, and just really have the freedom to kind of create our own role and find what our niche was. And so I really appreciated the freedom of that. And so the partnership just kind of blossomed through it. Mm-hmm. And it's been such a life-giving experience. I tell people all the time, like, I didn't need that job, but it has opened so many doors, and I wanted to surround myself with people like them. Yep. And so it's been an amazing experience, and we've dabbled with a couple of other Airbnb companies too. Like, it's not like, oh, we're just doing Kalos or anything like that, but it's been so fun to be creative and collaborate together, and I love it. So my itch has been scratched, by the way, with the Airbnb world. So I love both.
Saying wrong. I always say my scratch has been itch. It's not that.
Yeah, I think about it. But yes, it's been very rewarding. So
yeah. So being that you have this kind of like behind the curtain experience for vacation rentals, okay, you are speaking to cleaning business owners. What do they screw up greatly, and how do you wow owners so that if this market is a good one for you, which it's not for everybody, but if it is, how can they nail it, and how can you epically blow it, basically?
Absolutely. Oh, wow. And I have blown it. I have blown it bad. Let me tell you. I remember before I got connected with Kalos, there was a company in Nashville that they had just a handful of properties, and they had a flat rate that they wanted to pay the cleaning company to come in. And I was desperate. I was like, oh my gosh, I want to do this so bad. Like, yeah, we can do it for that rate. No problem. I shot myself in the foot, because I would go and not realize that this Airbnb that they would pay a flat rate fee for was a 3-story, 19-head, bed situation. And they wanted it done in 4 hours. And I was like, this is impossible. You can't simply just even make the beds in that time, let alone clean. And so I got myself into some really sticky situations, and I would be stuck there making 19 beds with two other people until 2 or 3 in the morning. And I lost a lot of money that way. So Busy Bees, we actually have learned the hard way, and we charge per man hour or per woman hour because we have ladies at the moment. And so I have found that if someone wants to do a flat rate, I have to make sure that it makes sense. And so I always ask on the front end now, do you have a budget that we need to stay mindful of? And if so, I divide that by our hourly rate, and that determines how long we can stay at a clean. And so I always get very leery of any company that is like, this is our max, we cannot exceed it, and we want it done in X amount of time. It's just very tricky when you are paying, we pay our employees an hourly wage. So it's really protected us from some scenarios in the past where I really was in a mess. I was losing hundreds of dollars because I was having to pay for the help and couldn't get it done in the time that they wanted. So,
so pricing.
Hope that answered your question. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Pricing is key. Yeah. It has to make sense.
And they just, a lot of times it seems like some of our owners, they're like, well, that's more than my cleaning fee, as if that's really relevant to my costs of doing business. And it's like, they're also a business owner. So it's being cognizant, like they're a business owner, but it has to make sense for us as the cleaning business. And we dropped over half of ours actually because of, they weren't ideal. There was a lot of things like, so we had a lot of scope creep going on, meaning what I mean by that, guys, if you don't know what that means, is literally like, here's a list of things we agreed upon. And then they just kept, well, can you do this while you're there? Can you change a light bulb while you're there? Can you, all of a sudden we're, shoveling snow and we are hauling firewood and
painting walls, I've heard.
Yeah, like doing all these crazy things. Or like, even this happened to with a recent owner, like one of our long-term owners, great guy, very neurotic, like the most neurotic person you've ever met, but super sweet. And he a guest had forgotten their fishing pole. And, if this happens, we will ship if we need to or whatever, if a guest something, right? Like we've done that before. I don't have a problem for it. But the problem is the fishing pole was floating in the lake. And so he was like, hey, can you just grab it? It's right in the water. And we're like, no, we can't. And he was upset about it.
Yeah, that's
it's
wild.
hard when it's a regular client and it's that boundaries constantly being pushed because they're for us, our owners are typically not around. This is their vacation space. And so it's really tough when they're kind of trying to lean on us as if we're a property manager when we're a cleaning company. So do you have that happen anytime? And what would your tips be how do you deal with it?
Absolutely. So I'm so glad you brought that up because I remember in a previous episode, Stephanie, you mentioned that you're not allowed to talk to the clients anymore because you'll clean the gutters, you'll paint the walls, you'll change the light bulbs. I'm the same way. If there is a request or a need, I have this deep desire I'm a fixer and I want to be able to offer everything that someone needs. And I have had to learn that the hard way. My best advice would be, obviously we're a fully insured company. I blame it on the insurance all the time. And so I've gotten really good at setting the boundaries and the expectations at the walkthrough, the very first initial communication of, hey, so for our insurance company in particular, we are not allowed to do exterior window cleaning or carpet shampooing or anything that we can't reach on our own 2 feet, which that makes it hard in the cleaning world. I mean, I do reassure the clients that yes, we have Swiffer extenders and we have certain tools that can reach up high, but I tell them on the front end, we're not going to climb up on furniture. We're not going to help you move furniture. Oh goodness, I have a story about that, by the way. When I was first starting, I had my first employee was a male and he was phenomenal, the most hardworking. And I always tell him, I'm like, if you ever want to come back, you're hired immediately. And so it would be me and him, and we would go into these first time move out cleans. And you know how move outs work. You need everything to be out so that you can do a thorough job. Well, of course, we would show up. The movers would still be there. The clients would still be there. And they would start asking us to help, load the moving truck. And unfortunately, we agreed. And this poor gentleman, my employee, thankfully, was totally fine, but he was helping a client carry a very heavy piece of furniture downstairs, and the client actually fell. And I was like, oh no, okay, we cannot be doing this anymore. So we tell people, if exceeds 30 pounds, we cannot move furniture, but we do have certain tools to help get around table legs and things like that. But I think just setting the expectation on the front end, we at this time don't have like a contract or an agreement or anything with the clients of what we are and aren't willing to do. But I think just getting it out on the front end is such an easier way to set a boundary. It's much easier to do that than to have to backtrack and be like, oh, actually, no, we don't do that. I'm sorry. I always tell our employees too that me and my manager, we are never going to ask our team to do anything that we're not comfortable doing. So we don't put them in situations, sight unseen if we can help it. I'm never going to ask someone to clean up like biohazardous waste or like crime scene cleanup or anything like that. And I think just when you're in the calm and you're in the space of really getting to sit down and think about like, what am I willing to do? What do I want to offer to people? What's within our scope of practice or our insurance coverage? Just set those boundaries and have a very clear idea of what that looks like. So that way you can spit it off as soon as the client starts to ask, like, oh, unfortunately, that's outside of our insurance coverage, or whatever the verbiage needs to be surrounding that. That has helped me tremendously, because before I was just like you and I'd be like, sure, I'll, clean your litter box and all of those things. But that's kind of how we've combated it.
Yeah. And just being literally being like, oh, I'm sorry, that's against our policy. And it's like, you may be like thinking in your head, I don't have a policy. Client doesn't know that. Blame something.
Yeah.
Just blame something. They're not going to ask more questions.
I blame it on the insurance all the time. I'm like, nope, insurance won't cover it.
I just work here and these are the rules. And even though we're the owners.
I just work here. That's hilarious.
So I love having point to something. And I mean, truly, most people don't dig into their insurance policies enough and know what are you actually covered for, so that when your cleaner climbs on top of something, my payroll manager, April, you are listening right now, who's climbed on a step stool provided by the client and tipped off. Luckily, she didn't get hurt badly, but that was years ago, so I'm still going to tease her for it. And I know she's listening. So, so that's a perfect example of for us, we have a 1 foot step stool. If we can't reach anything without that, then we can't clean it. So same
absolutely
concept, just really thinking these things out. And I think that that's a big mistake, or a big challenge for newer owners, is the whole, you don't know what you don't know. So you have never thought about the scenarios that you've never ran into. And those are the painful lessons that you learn as time goes on, and why it's good to listen to Filthy Rich Cleaners podcast to learn all of the lessons.
Absolutely.
For example, how do you handle, dog poop? What is the expectation there? What do you expect? What if there's blood on the counter? What if there's, money on the counter, but it's not listed as a tip? What if they're locked out? All of these scenarios that your cleaners are going to run into. At some point, it's going to happen. Yes. So we literally have, for us, we build those into our training. We have control homes and we build all this. We have fake, very realistic looking dog poop that we put in Crystal's house. So when they clean it, this is how we handle dog poop, literally, because it's going to stick in their head. That's how I
absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that too. We have a very funny, I'm actually working on tweaking it at the moment, but we have a what if scenarios page that we put into our employee handbook that says, what if you have to use the restroom in a client's house? What if you get sick? What if you come across, we come across a lot of things, and whether it be medications, weapons, biohazardous waste, adults. Yeah. You just never know. And it's so funny because even though, you said you've been almost 6 years in business, we've been almost 5, there is new things happening every day that I'm like, how have I not had to deal with this before? This is new. This is hilarious or sad. Or I think too, we tell our girls, our employees, that you are going to be entering into someone's most sacred space, and you're going to pick up on a lot of things. You're going to sense whether there's, been a death in the family, or you're going to see that positive pregnancy test in someone's trash can and know that they're pregnant. You're going to
for anybody else.
Yeah. But it's also, you just have such this, I think the word I keep coming to is this sacred experience of just being in relation with people, and you're going to see their humanness more so than probably anyone else. And what I really try to drive home is I absolutely do not ever want a client to feel judged by our team. It's just a very human, there's
Mm.
just a humanness to it that I love and I appreciate. Actually, ironically, I do have a story. Kind of my very first experience with a cleaning company. I tell this a lot of times to our employees to really drive home that non-judgment concept. So again, we're a military family. I was a stay-at-home mom of two. I was a full-time student going to massage therapy school. We lived on base at Fort Campbell. And I had never had experience with hiring a cleaning company before. Never imagined that I would be here now owning a company. And I mean, I'll be honest, I needed help. I was drowning in school and being a mom, and my husband was gone a lot. And so we hired a cleaning company. They did a phenomenal job. I came home and I was like, I want more of this in my life. But unfortunately, my husband came home from work that day and I could tell something was off. And we ended up finding out that one of the cleaners that we had welcomed into our home had taken photos before the clean, sent them to her boyfriend that ironically worked with my husband. And so it was a humiliating experience. There was a lot of judgment surrounding. It was very vulnerable. We invite people into our homes and our businesses, and we
trust them.
Yeah.
Vulnerable state. Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So it's so ironic because there was a couple of things that could have happened after that scenario. I could have said, you know what, I'm never inviting someone else into my home again like this. Or, I could have been very bitter. And I decided, you know what, this was just one person. And it is so life-giving to me to have that. And I really needed that help. And so I'm so glad that I ended up finding another company, of course, to help in that way, because it led me to where I am now. And I have experienced firsthand what that judgment can feel like, and feel like I really, whatever stage of life someone is in, whether they're a mom or a widow or they're going through an illness and they just physically can't do it. I tell people all the time on our team, like, if houses and businesses were clean, we would be out of business. So the dirty is what feeds our families. And so I really just really value the non-judgment and meeting people where they are. And so that it really means a lot to me. But I just wanted to share that first experience of a cleaning company.
You're like making me emotional right now. Like I'm tearing up just because what you just said. Like, first of all, I'm sure every single person listening can relate exactly to like what you just said, because that at our core, I think of any true like cleaning business owner and leader, that is how we feel, of like, we are coming in to help, and we are serving others, the heart of service. And like, for us, that is grounds for instant termination in our business.
Absolutely same.
If anything is ever said in a judgmental way, and dear Lord, it getting back to the client, because at the end of the day, they are so ashamed. Like, and I could talk for, hours on the mentality of, as women, how our households reflect in our, in society's eyes, as well as our own eyes, as our value and our goodness as mothers, as women in general, as wives, whatever. Like, the men aren't judged for the state of their home like we are, right? And we judge ourselves and we judge each other, right? And it's just, our clients, they finally got the courage up to ask for help, right? And they're bearing their soul and their biggest shame, and to come in and just stab them in the heart like that happened to you. Like, I can't, like, that's literally, I know this word gets thrown out. That's traumatic. And like, I think of somewhat like, we have this program called the Fresh Start Project, where we come in and do free cleanings for anybody for an awesome. Yeah, and those ones in particular are typically out of the ordinary, meaning like they're going to be in a worse condition potentially. And a lot of times with any of our clients, we don't know what's going on. We don't know why the state of the house is, and it's not our place to really even like, it doesn't matter. We're here to solve it. We're here to help and be the fixer, not to like cast judgment or throw stones or wonder why, because It could be physical illness. It could be mental illness. It could be things that are completely invisible. It could be she's working 3 jobs or she's got multiple. Really, it's just like there's so many reasons that in our day and age, it is very difficult to keep up with the workload in a home, because not only now are we expected to like bring in an income, we're also always the physical household labor is still on us majority. And this is not some type of feminist rant. I promise this is statistically speaking. If you go and look at the numbers, how the household labor is divvied up, if both parents are working, it's still mostly the woman. And so that's where this is coming from. And that's why like all of our marketing and branding is really geared towards speaking to the heart of the matter, which is women. So everything you just said, Brenna, there's your marketing. You just sold me. I don't even have a house in Tennessee, but I'm like, please clean my house. Like,
and that's so kind. Thank you.
If you guys are wondering, like, how do I do marketing or branding that's going to actually make people want to hire me? Speak from your freaking heart, speak from your soul, because like we care, and you have all of this inside of you, like saying that and then holding your team accountable to it and finding people who feel the same way. Because I've had that before where I've had great cleaners and then they go and shit talk clients, or
I hate that. Yeah.
And there's a difference between, ooh, this was a doozy, and wow, those people are disgusting, right? Those are two very different things. And so, oh gosh, I'm really happy you shared that was your experience, because clearly it's led your vision for your company and
really has
workplace culture,
Yeah, it's definitely been a humbling experience. After that day, I remember every year it pops up on my Facebook memories, because I was so angry and I was so humiliated, and, I knew that I needed that help. And before I knew that this picture was floating, or pictures, I never ended up seeing it. But before I knew exactly what was said and the situation, I wanted to hire them more. Like I wanted more of that. It was so life-giving, and I could come home from school, with my 2 babies and just take a deep breath. And I knew that I want to give people more of that. So if I can look back and, instill in my team, we want to leave people in a spot where they are left wanting more. We have our price point I never wanted this to be like a luxury thing, because I was not in a position to afford that when I first started hiring a cleaning company. I wanted it to be a necessity, not a luxury. And I've had people across the years that, individuals that clean on their own, they're like, Brenna, you are priced like 50% below what you could be making. And I'm like, yes, but that's not the point for me. Yes, I have to, pay the bills and keep the food on the table and all of those things. But I always want to remember where I came from, the reason why. And I think that has really allowed us to market ourselves to people that probably didn't even know this was an option for them. I hear people all the time talk about, I can't imagine hiring a cleaner. And I'm like, no, seriously, it's so life-giving. We can stay mindful of a budget. If it's even just doing the floors or just doing, we call it the wet rooms, the bathrooms in the kitchen, that's kind of what everybody wants, right? Yeah. And I tell people I had a walkthrough today, and I tell them, like, I hire the team to clean my house, if that tells you anything, because I just don't want to do it. But yeah, it's just been such a journey and very humbling along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. It exposes you to a lot of things. And we have situations come to us that, so many other, even service providing industries do not, because we are inside people's houses. Whereas if you get, your nails done or whatever other type of service, your car washed, etc., like you're going to a physical location. Like the word truly is intimate. Like it is an intimate experience to trust somebody and let them into your home. And that's why sometimes, clients be acting funny the first time because they don't know what to do with themselves. Every time my house gets cleaned, or my house back when I lived in Wisconsin, it was my own cleaners. And I'm like, what do I do with myself?
Yeah, I'm the worst client that we have. And I warn the people on our team, I'm like, look, I'm not going to have a clear sink. The dishes are going to be there. The kids' rooms are probably going to have stuff on the floor. I'm the worst prepper.
Yes.
But I think too, it kind of lets them know, I'm not some person way up here on some pedestal. I always promised myself too, no matter how successful the company got, I will never not be willing to scrub a toilet with my team. And I think that is so important because, you know, it just shows them like, I'm never going to ask you to, again, going back to this statement, I'm never going to ask my team to do something that I haven't done before or I'm not willing to do. And I think that's so important. And we have such an incredible team of ladies from all walks of life. We've hired as young as 16 to, I say, as wise as 72. And it's so important for the people on your team to know that you're just as human, you're flawed, you also have this willingness to serve. And I think it's really helped our employees. I hate to say the word loyal because that's, you know, so many people feel differently about that term, but I really feel like there's a loyalty there to serve and they know that I mean what I say. There's expectations, but I'm also meeting those expectations and willing to work just as hard as they are to serve. And so I just think that's really important. But
yeah, just really having the proof in the pudding to your staff members and having that connection. And I would say like I am wildly more, I guess, casual and close with my staff than probably a lot of owners or people would tell you to be. But they know me. I mean, just like you guys all like probably feel like you know me. That's just my personality. And it just like I want my staff to feel as if like I personally care about them because I do, but it's like, I want to know about them. So if you come to our weekly team meetings, like the majority of it is not even like work related. We're just, we go around, we go around, we ask the weekly question, which is usually a friendly or a fun question. And everybody shares something they're grateful for or excited about in their life. They also share what's going on bad, you know, and so that we all know, and I'll share things too and just like, I know the whole boundaries thing and that like, if your culture is like, if you listen to Chris Schwab's episode and you're running ICs, you know, from another country, that's not the culture for you. And that's totally okay. But it's okay. This culture is good too. And this is what I want. And it really fills my cup. And like you said, like for us, all of our managers started as cleaners. And they had no intentions of being managers, you know, they started as
same here. Yeah.
And they, you know, moved up. But the whole point of saying that is to say, there is no us versus them. It's simply, we are all working together from different angles to accomplish this, the mission of Serene Clean and being just really clear, what is the mission? And as you mentioned, the whole money thing of like, I could do a lot of things that would bring in a lot more money than Serene Clean. I could also do a lot more things to make us way more profitable, but that's not the point. The point is to serve the mission. And so for us, our mission is like to be the best cleaning service in the area, to serve our communities to the best way possible, and to be the best employer that my staff has ever have, right? So all of those things do not equal high profits necessarily. But
you're right.
You know, it's my business, and what my vision is not the highest profits, right? It's to do all these things. And this is a perfect like segue into the whole community involvement thing of like, for me, like that is the most like, other than being a beloved boss and a great place to work, like that for me is the tops. And that takes care of having the best service because they're so well taken care of, right? So when people tell me it's the best place they've ever worked, it's hard to leave, et cetera, like that's perfect. Secondarily, it's like having that walking the walk and talking the talk of we give and we care about our local community. And that's been like the ethos from day one. Like, for example, we do employee chosen local nonprofit donations every single month. So everybody takes a turn and we go around the circle. Okay, it's your month. Which local nonprofit are we going to donate to that you choose, and highlight them and the nonprofit? And then we can obviously use that in our marketing. But okay, it's been almost 6 years that we've done that. So 12 months every year. And it's just that consistent, like that's what builds culture, is like introducing those types of things. You know, I can give you other examples and I'd love to share them, but Brenna, you have definitely a heart of service and caring for your area and just internationally as well. I'd love to talk about the way you are doing giving initiatives from your business. So first of all, what do you think about that? And why, I hope you can recommend to our listeners as much as I do, that this is such a good way, one, to stand out, but two, to give your staff purpose and vision too, because every day that they work is contributing to helping other people.
Yes, absolutely. I feel like you and I are so similar in that way, that we are just as much passionate about the giving side and the serving side as we are about being successful business owners. And so that journey has obviously evolved for me over the last couple of years. I've been able to network in bigger ways now because of the connections that I've made. But just for some examples, my very first, I guess, giving opportunity was, of course, through Cleaning for a Reason. And so I found out about that through ZenMaid, and that really opened the door for me to be like, hey, there's actually organizations that exist for this sole purpose of cleaning companies being able to give in this way. And that was just so up my alley. I was like, I am so passionate about this. And obviously, I don't think there's a single person that hasn't been touched by cancer in some shape or form. And so as I got involved with Cleaning for a Reason, of course, that's a nationwide company, I started looking for the local options as well. So we're technically Nashville, but I started in a small town called Nolensville. It's about 20 minutes outside of Nashville. That's where I lived for the last 5 years and kind of started Busy Bees. And we actually have a local organization called Art Helps Cancer. And they're a nonprofit organization that they provide handwritten notes and gift baskets and maintenance, lawn care, cleaning services to anyone that's a resident of our area undergoing cancer treatment. And so we've been partnered with them for a couple of years now, I believe. And so we're able to help in that way of giving someone undergoing, treatment free cleaning services, and ongoing too. It's not just a one and done. Like, we build a rapport with these people in a relationship, and there's really Art Helps Cancer is so phenomenal, and there's no limit to the giving. If there's a need, they're going to fill it. And I'm so honored to partner with them in that way. The other organization that has come to be really near and dear to my heart, it's called the Isaiah House. And it's also something that is growing to multiple states. And what this is when children are taken by CPS or DCS, they are awaiting placement for foster homes. And the Isaiah House is a place, it's actually in a neighborhood. It looks just like a house. There's a kitchen, there's rooms, there's a giving closet. The children go there instead of just in some cubicle somewhere awaiting placement. And they're able to get a home-cooked meal. They have volunteers there 24/7 willing to help the children. And so we were able to partner with our local Isaiah House in cleaning that home for them for free. And so, there is absolutely so many resources out there that I wasn't even aware of until I started looking and talking to people. We also have done multiple sports sponsorships. I have 3 kids. Of course, it started with my kiddos. I wanted to sponsor their sports teams, but it's just really been a domino effect. And I have found that the more I give, the more opportunities I see to give. And there's really no limit to it. If just yesterday, I got a call from a family member that they work with someone whose roof had collapsed in their home, and insurance wasn't going to cover the cost of all of this stuff. And I'm like, done, we'll come. It's fine. If I've found that you will be blessed tenfold and more if you're just willing to serve, and no matter the sacrifice, like, I want to be right there alongside my team. And I think it's also given our team, of course, our employees, they never work for free. I'm never going to ask them to do that. But they know that the company will pay them to do this service for others. And I think that's so important. And the other opportunity that I've come across recently, we had chatted briefly about, is Edu Kenya. This is another nonprofit organization, obviously based in Kenya. They have built a school there in one of their communities, and it's a primary school through high school. It's definitely evolved and grown, and it's become very successful. The founders of this nonprofit also are from Nolensville, where we're located, and we were able to, I guess, commit to become a sponsor with this organization. And so there's 10 employees of this school in Kenya, and they're working at the school to clean it, keep things stocked, like a janitor would, so that their children can receive this education. And so Busy Bees was able to recently commit to paying the annual wage of one of the moms whose child goes to this school. And it was like $160 a month. We'll pay, of course, the American dollar goes way further than there, but it's such an honor to be able to, I didn't even know that existed a month ago. And here we are able to provide this blessing in this way. And it's just crazy how the world works, and how you'll come across like-minded people that are also just willing to connect and serve and bless others. And I can't wait to tell you all the ones we'll find out in the next month. It's just such a blessing. So
Oh, that is so amazing and inspirational. And also I hope triggering for you guys some creative thought processes on like, how could you give immediately, regardless of the size of your business, and really just making this part of your company culture and just embodying like, this is what matters to me. And what Brenna just said of, the more you give, the more things come your way. I have 1000% experienced that. Like, and I mentioned before, I've was told a long time ago that like with money and giving, like if you hold it like a fist, like, and hold on to it tightly, nothing's going to get out, but nothing's going to get in. And so if you open your hand, like opportunities can flow in. And like every time I've been called to give, I just like blindly follow it. And I know that sounds really reckless financially. I'm not saying blow all your savings, guys, or give anything, but it's just like, if I feel that tug in my heart, I listen to it. I listen to it because it's telling me
every
like,
time.
This is what I'm supposed to be doing right now. And regardless if it's an employee or if it is a client or some stranger, or a lot of times it'll be like an employee's, friend's kid or whatever has a GoFundMe because he's got this disease. And it's just like, done. Don't donate from the business. And, your staff members knowing, like you said, you're doing these cleanings for free. That's always going to be in the Zen made notes that like, hey, just so they know like what because a lot of times, like I said, those cleanings are not going to be like their normal ones, right? Or we're only doing these certain areas, whatever. And just the sense of pride and meaning that they can get from that. And so for us, another thing we do is every single month with the employee chosen donation, we're making sure we're talking about that in our team meeting. It's part of our stats. Like this month's donation is this is how much our company match was for the 401k. This is these things that we did, right? Or even, we have an adopt a highway pickup. That is something that we do a couple times a year as a team. And then we have a big grill out. And so we're picking up the highway together and just really just embodying like, if this is important to you and hopefully like to our listeners, this type of thing is like, that is so like, as you've said, life-giving to be able to do this. Like that's true. Like power is having the financial ability to do that, like, and being a steward of the money in that manner. Like money's just a tool, and like, it feels so cool to be able to help. Like, it's amazing. It makes me so proud,
Yeah, it does. It really does. It kind of reminds me of that statement. I'm sure you guys have heard it. It's not all money is good money, and not every client is meant to be your client. But when you serve and you give, there's absolutely no regrets. You're never gonna like give and regret it, in my opinion. And I love what you said, Stephanie, about you share with your team the ways that you give, and they're able to put like a value and a dollar amount on it. And I think that's really neat. I'm going to steal that idea. So
yeah. And if you do have like, a good chunk at the end and you're like, oh, this is all going to taxes, or I could donate this. I remember, not this past year, but the last year we had, a decent amount. And so we did a survey for all of our staff, and we're doing, 3, and I think we ended up doing 4 big old donations to your guys' choice. So everybody voted where they wanted the money to go, and it was by the team. They decided where we're doing these donations. And it was so awesome. Cool because again, it makes them proud to work where they work. And so I know we're really like talking about this all, guys, but it's because I feel strongly that this is the way of being truly like a great local business, like not just good, but great. And you need to have this kind of mission. And maybe none of this is resonating with you, but then maybe like, this podcast isn't for you because it's just like, this is who I am and this is what I believe. Yeah. And just like having that service mindset of not only for the clients, but for the staff, and even like coming back to ZenMaid of the whole, like the SOS button and them listening and hearing like, this is a problem. Safety is an issue in our industry. Nobody ever talks to it. Like I told them horror stories last year in August, boom, look what we have, this like revolutionary thing. And so it's just amazing to be able to make an impact and actually put the needs of people first and not just money. And a lot of times when you do that, when you're thinking of the people, not just the money comes, it's like a side effect.
Yeah. I heard once that your employee, we're kind of backtracking here, back to the employee side. I've always heard that your employees are the best clients you'll ever have. So if you really pour into them and meet them where they are, wherever they are in their walks of life or their financial journey, what have you, like it's always going to be a blessing to the company and return to you. I keep saying tenfold, but it's so true. One of the things that we've done is we allow our employees to, I've made a quick little online availability form. The same form every single week. The first question on the form is, do you want to work this week? Yes or no. It goes to all of our employees. If it's no, great. I don't need to know. That's your business. If it's yes, it'll take them, so we're open 7 days a week. It'll take them Monday through Sunday. What days and what times are you available? So they're really the masters of their own schedule. And I can't tell you how many times I have had employees leave to fulfill other obligations or go to school or find another job. And I would say over a third of the employees that we've hired ended up coming back to Busy Bees because of the freedom of making their own schedule. And just, I've had so many people, not to toot my own horn, but kind of, like, yes. I've had so many people, I'm like, I'm just a cleaning company owner. Like, it's not, it's just me, it's just Brenna. But they've been like, you are the best boss I have ever had. And I'm like, that makes me feel so good. When I first started, I was like, yeah, this is such a service to our clients, but really we have the obligation to be serving our team just as much, if not more so, than the people that we clean for. And so that's just been a win on my part too, is I feel such an honor that people would, A, be willing to come back to our company after leaving and be like, nope, that wasn't good enough. I'm coming back.
And a lot of times they don't know like how good they have it. It's so funny because my boyfriend, anytime I'm like saying like what he considers let our cleaners get away with, he's like, that would never fly at any other workplace. Like,
oh my
what?
Goodness, yeah.
Like, he's like, I don't know how you deal with it. I was like, well, honestly, this is just like, it, like I'll say something and it's not even like a thing to me. And he's like, wait, what? That's why they're calling? I'm like, I don't care why they're calling in. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. Oh man, that's some fun stories there too.
Yeah. So it's just, and that's truly what it is like, I want them, like when they leave, to regret it, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you there. When they come back, I do have like this little like satisfaction of like, yeah, I know what we got. I know what we're offering. So funny.
That's funny. Yeah, like we should have like a review. Well, honestly, I do. That is a tip. If you guys aren't getting your happy employees to leave you reviews on Indeed or on,
that's a great idea.
Yeah, so we have a bunch of reviews on our Indeed as an employer. So the reason is eventually you're going to get a bad one where, we don't yet, but I'm sure, it's going to happen sometime. So I'd rather preemptively like attack this future problem by having a bunch of happy employees leaving me reviews just like clients, so that when one crazy one comes through, then it's like, well, that's just the one-off, instead of just having that one bad one. Because people are not going to go leave happy reviews on your Indeed unless you prompt them. But if they are unhappy, they definitely will go do that.
Definitely.
So that's, you can absolutely do that, guys. And so what I do is if we have somebody leave who clearly is happy, or even months later, I'll be like, hey, how is it going? Like, now that you've been away, like, would you be willing to do this? And they like typically say yes. Indeed's funny about like posting the reviews. So sometimes it's harder to get them, but even a couple good ones, guys, will really make an impact. And a lot of my current staff have done it as well, so that people can really get a sense of, and Indeed ask them all sorts of questions, and just to give an honest, like, view onto what is it like working here. We also do video. We have a bunch of video, I guess, interviews with our cleaning staff and we ask them a lot of different questions, and those are on our YouTube, those are on our Facebook page. We use them for marketing purposes, or if I'm trying to hire and I'm doing a boosted Facebook ad, here is my current staff telling you what it's like to work here. Like, other companies don't do that. It's just like I'd use video reviews to get cleaning clients. Like, use it if you're happy. Like, if you've got happy employees, like, they're probably happy to tell other people about it. So might as well use that for your marketing.
That's a great idea. Yeah, I've always heard to do like if an employee leaves your company to do an exit interview questionnaire. I found that out through ZenMaid as well. That's brilliant. We also have an employee satisfaction survey that I send out every once in a while. And it's not these like, oh, check yes or no. Like it's an open blank, open-ended question because I really truly want to know. And I know you talk a lot about the video testimonials and things like that and the importance of that. I have never gotten into that realm. As you know, I'm not tech savvy, but that's something I definitely want to learn more about because I think it's so powerful in social media, especially for us. You know, if you're a small town cleaning business owner, they want to see your face. They want to know what the people look like going into their homes. And to really give a compliment to ZenMaid, I love how personal we can make everything from the automated text, like here's the names of your cleaners for the day, all of those things. It's like people want to know who's coming into their home. So faces with names is brilliant. So I'm going to have to figure out how to start doing that too.
Well, and honestly, I'm literally right now in the process of starting to research. Like, we just do this manually with the video testimonials, meaning like, here's my cell phone, I'm going to do this. But there is a bunch of softwares out there. I can't recommend any because I haven't tried any yet, but I am in the preliminary phases of basically it sends a link to the client and then like it lets them like record the video review very, very easily. So there's a bunch of softwares who are like hopping on this like phenomenon because it's so useful. So I am looking into that as well because I'd like to make this process easier because it can be like pulling teeth to get a video review, but that is a golden tooth once you get it because it like works for years and works better than any other form of review or marketing or whatever. It's just like they sell for us. Gosh, I just like squeeze lotion all over my hands. I'm like, I always have to have something in my hands. So I'm like, oh, I didn't realize I was squeezing this open bottle of lotion. But yeah, I think video reviews I know people don't like to do them, meaning ask for them. You'd be surprised how many of your clients would be happy to do so, but you gotta ask. So, and the same concept for your staff members, I'm kind of using it in that manner as well of like, what's it like working here? And then I can use those when it's just like, where am I hurting? Is it the clients or is it the staff members? Cause usually it's like every other day, like it's one or the other.
Absolutely. I'm kind of glad you brought that up because there were so many things that, again, I've had to learn from trial and error and just like search for. It's like, I knew what I needed. I knew the result that I needed for certain things. But just like with ZenMaid, thank God for ZenMaid because I would not be where I am today without it. And there's so many resources out there that, like you just said, there's like a software that will let them do this video. And I'm like, I didn't even know that. So there's certain things along the way that I found out through the hard way or not that have just been absolute game changers in automations, customizing the client experience, the employee experience. And so I would love to hear some of the softwares that you use. I think that would be so helpful for someone that's maybe just starting out or people like me where I still don't have it all figured out. One of the really cool things that we experienced in the last month, at first I was like, this is a curse. This is awful. What are we going to do? So of course, everybody that uses this type of software, I think it's called VoIP software, anything you're using for like text messages, an app. We had been using Grasshopper for years and years and years, and it served its purpose, but then we got stuck in the shutdown of the SMS registration. And I'm sure you guys saw me on ZenMaid Mastermind. I was like, help, what do I do? They're not approving me. I don't know the verbiage I need on my policy. I just want to get approved. We were shut down. Our business line was shut down for over 2 weeks and I was distraught. I was like,
God.
It was rough. And so somebody on ZenMaid recommended OpenPhone. Y'all, this
is it great?
I am blown away. I want to shout it from the rooftops. Their SMS registration process was, they literally verbatim gave me, here's what you need to copy and paste and put on there. There's actual people on the other line of customer support. The aesthetics of the app are so much easier to navigate. There's so many more features, from scheduling text messages to actually having, there's a Zapier integration with ZenMaid, so your contacts can transfer over. There's multiple. I mean, there's I could talk about it for days,
Yeah,
but
I
I
mean,
just want to
literally,
shout
like,
about
I'm about, like, we are, yeah. So obviously, like, any phone system, guys, like, internet-based phone is, like, a non-negotiable as you grow. When I first started,
Mm-hmm.
I had Google Voice, the whole thing is we do not want our customers to have our personal phone number. All right. We
Yeah.
don't want that. And that is truly a safety thing, as well as a professional thing, as well as, this is work. This is my life. Like, to start that separation. Cause if you just grow with your personal, like, it's a nightmare. So I did a Google Voice number before I could afford anything. And then we switched over to what we have now, which is called Clarity Voice. But I am actively looking for a new phone system because the app is just not what I want. It's very clunky and not user friendly. What you just said of, like, so we are like automation psychopaths, like, I want everything automated, like,
Me too.
well, because you have to, like
Yeah.
you can't scale without it. So obviously, like, that's a whole can of worms, is automation and things like that. But I will say, like, yes, we, like what you just said of hooking up ZenMaid to Zapier to get all of your contacts in there. Boom, like right there, that is 100% something we would do immediately. So I'm glad that you recommended them, because I will look into Open Phone or Open Voice.
Open Phone. The other cool thing, if you've already got an established business line through another app, like we had Grasshopper, Open Phone has this system called a port, where they will actually contact your current company and get permission to transfer that number, so you don't have to change your business line.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, we never want to do that, obviously.
Yeah,
so,
obviously.
Will they, like, break up with them too? I hate, like, having to do that.
Unfortunately, no. I'm going to have to make that call soon, but it's a call I'm willing to make.
Sounds like an email to me.
Yeah. So funny.
But yeah, so I'll definitely look into that. Thank you for the recommendation. But
Absolutely.
obviously, I mean, I've used ZenMaid since day one in my business. And I know you guys are probably all like, oh, is this ZenMaid sponsored? Well, this is ZenMaid's podcast. However, I would be talking about them regardless of any association with them, because I cannot imagine life without them. Like the business has grown, or ZenMaid's grown with the business, I suppose, or whatever, both ways. And, we do commercial, we do a ton of commercial, we do vacation rentals, we do so much residential. We're talking, upwards of 200 appointments a week, right? So, and managing thousands potentially of clients over the years. There's no way it could have been done. And just to have a very niche software, meaning it only focuses on cleaning businesses. And that's what I really like, because there's no features that don't matter to us, and they aren't spending their time or resources making irrelevant features because they serve electricians or plumbers or whoever else. So that's my 2 cents about that. And I just, a scheduling software of any capacity, like, you need it if you're doing things with your just Outlook or Google Calendar or whatever, like, that only can get you so far. So and you're gonna feel the pain once things start getting forgotten, or the notes or whatever. Just, there's so much. So number one is scheduling app. Zapier, as you guys have heard, Brenna and I both mentioned that, or Zapier, some people say. I say Zapier. So what that does is a software that helps other softwares talk to each other. So if I connect ZenMaid through Zapier to MailChimp, which is our email marketing service, all of a sudden, every time somebody fills out a lead form, they now get added to our email marketing list automatically. So that's what we're talking about, guys, of, like, connecting things so that you don't have to do anything manually. Like, the goal is to avoid as much manual labor and administrative labor as much as possible. So MailChimp, as I mentioned, Sign Request is going to be our alternative to DocuSign. So all of our client guidelines are signed through Sign Request, and it's literally, I think, $8 or $9 a month, where DocuSign is like $80 or $90 a month. So that allows us to make sure everything is good when it comes to onboarding clients, because we never want to step foot in a house without having them sign that. Gusto is a payroll software. I did use QuickBooks Online in the beginning, because that's my bookkeeping software, but we switched over to Gusto for payroll, and I could not recommend them more highly. The service, the knowledge, they're incredible. And honestly, a lot of their tools are great, because when we want to add benefits, they have so many partners that are just integrated within their software that it makes it really easy. So, like, our 401k and retirement plans are through a program called Guideline, but that's right. They connect with Gusto. So it's really nice that they have all of those integrations as well. So those are the big ones. Like I said, QuickBooks Online is going to be that. Oh, of course, I can forget ClickUp. I'm a ClickUp Like me and ClickUp, I should just have a ClickUp tattoo, honestly. I can never not use them, like, honestly. And so ClickUp is a project management, task management software, but you can truly make it do anything. And so for us, that is where we have all of our CRM and lead management. It's also how I manage my life in general, like as the owner. So I'm able to stay on top of everything, and never miss everything as much as possible. I know a lot of people love Go High Level. That is a really good CRM. I've never personally used it, and I actually did take a peek at it. And the person who was looking at it, who works with ZenMaid as well, he was like, nope, you've done so much automation in ClickUp, stick with ClickUp. But as if you're looking for a good CRM, I know that one is good as well. But we're always like looking at softwares and trying to decide. Of course, I just keep forgetting. Trainual is one we added in the past 6 months. That has been amazing. And that is for documenting standard operating procedures, processes, systems. Our new hire employee orientation is in there. Basically it's our brain of like, how do you do this thing in Serene Clean? And then I can assign it to anybody in any role. And here, like, so I never have to teach somebody again. Like, this is how I do my testimonial graphics, and this is how you schedule them out on Facebook. I will never have to explain that again because now it's here, right? And so that type of thing, Loom for recording, videos and then, embedding them in the Trainuals or whatever. So a lot of the stuff for most of you guys listening are probably like, man, this is going right over your head. This is irrelevant at your point. I'm just putting these bugs in your ear that as you grow, software is going to be integral. You need software. You can't function without it. And obviously ChatGPT can I get a hand for ChatGPT? It can actually help you like figure out which softwares to use. If you're like, I need to do this thing. I'm struggling with this. Are there any softwares, or how would you recommend to do this? Or are any of the current softwares I'm using able to do this thing? And it'll be able to quickly and succinctly say, boom, here you go. So, I know I just talked for a long time, but I just wanted to give you.
No, please continue. Stephanie is like the encyclopedia of being a cleaning business owner. I'm going to have to listen to this podcast and take notes because I'm like, wait, can you say that again? How do you spell that?
Write that down.
I got to write that one down. So I have a question. So there is, first of all, I love most of those integrations. I use them also. I think it's so important, those that are wanting to scale, to be able to copy, paste, and duplicate. That's the only reason why I'm in the position that I am in, because I am not tech savvy, and ZenMaid has it is the holy grail of having a cleaning business. We just in the last year had the opportunity to do a merger and acquisitions with another smaller scaled local business company. And when I would sit down with her, she still had everything, even her schedule, everything was on a calendar, a paper calendar. There is absolutely no way. Also, if you want to bring alongside a virtual assistant or anyone else that you want to be able to step away from, and kind of outsource those roles, I think ZenMaid especially, you have to have those integrations in place so that you're not having to pass back and forth a handbook or a calendar. But one of the questions I wanted to ask you, Stephanie, is I've been using, so say you get a new booking or a new lead and you're like, okay, they're in this neighborhood. I have created, my own booking form on ZenMaid, which is lovely. And so one of the things I ask is, obviously their address, what's the name of your subdivision, all of those, yada, yada. Well, once you receive those, do you have a software that you use to plug those people in to know where to schedule them? Like, do you have a mapping system?
Oh, that's interesting. So ZenMaid does have their map view, which is useful to see where they are in relation to their other appointments. We just know where everybody is in their home base. And we typically know, have an idea of, so basically we have 3 locations, right? So our service range is huge. This is very, very important of what you just asked of basically routing is what we're talking about and who is available for where. So what we do is basically, we know everybody's home base. And so we are only going to filter and look at the availability of only those cleaners in ZenMaid. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm looking for a cleaner in Sparta or Toma or whatever. And obviously those towns mean nothing, but say Sparta is one of our locations, right? And so I don't want to look at other cleaners availability, regardless if they are available people or not. So I just filter those cleaners out. So I'm not even looking at them. So we're just whittling down the amount of data that is coming at us, if you will, or shutting them down. And spoiler alert, maybe by the time this drops, availability is about to come to ZenMaid.
Yeah.
So it's been a long, hard battle, and it'll be a lot of iterations, but just in general, I was like, guys, like this is a huge thing. Let's I'm really happy with where that's going. So that being said, it'll literally allow you to just like close off some cleaners and seeing where they're available. When it comes to the location side of it, that is the most complex part of scheduling, honestly. And truly, I know of no software that can do that yet. It's something that will continue to push in the availability for ZenMaid as that continues. It's a very complex problem. Like, and I was describing it. I was like, listen, guys, like scheduling is so challenging at this scale. It is so freaking
very difficult.
Like,
it's the one thing that I have not been able to outsource yet because it's just so overwhelming. I will say, I know ZenMaid is going to get there. I have full trust in ZenMaid for sure. And the website that I use currently, it's not a foolproof thing. It's still a lot of manual work and entry, but it's called ZMaps, ZEEMAPS.com. So
I think I've actually had a mastermind mentioned that website. Yeah.
So I've kind of created my own routes and maps that way, but I'm always intrigued to hear how other people are doing that. So I just wanted to see if there was something you had in mind. But yeah, I think that would be probably my favorite thing for ZenMaid to have in the future for sure.
Well, and what we actually are considering doing as well is like we create fake available appointments, and that's how we handle it, so that we can just filter to just that. And actually, we have a whole custom status that is available for appointments, so we can filter out all the noise. Obviously, this new availability feature will kind of take the place of it. We've also considered doing it by location, so like each cleaner, like you're available in the Black River Falls area, we assign them to that. And so then I can just filter and see cleaners only that way as well.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, there's multiple ways to actually like use what the software has, but you just kind of have to like be creative.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's tough, man, especially if you got a bigger service range or have cleaners who only work in certain areas, or no matter what, like time is money. The more they're driving around illogically, the less money you're making. So we want to route in the most intelligent way possible. And I feel like honestly, we just know like all my managers are very, very good at scheduling and all have like this like wizardry of like looking and seeing what makes sense. But yeah, just looking at each service area, each cleaner, how far are they driving, and do we need to make an entire change? Meaning this client needs to go on to a different cleaner to make this, the next day work. Because it's like this giant jigsaw puzzle.
It is.
Routing is definitely challenging. And as you grow, it just gets more difficult, which is why using the tasks to make notes, using the custom statuses and filtering as much as possible. So you're not just looking at this giant block of days and appointments and cleaners and all of that stuff. So yeah, it's definitely a complex problem for our industry.
For sure. Thank you for sharing all of that. I can't wait to listen back and take notes and learn all these new integrations and things.
Yeah, absolutely. This conversation has been really great. And I've been loving like talking to like really newer owners as well, because like, I just feel like the challenges that you're facing and the lessons that you've learned, like so many of our listeners are probably like, like this is so relevant to me right now. Or, well, I'm 5 years in and like, that's not what's happening for me yet. So like really like, hey, like it's clearly possible. Brenna knows her stuff. And just live in Nashville and serve vacation rentals. It sounds like that's the solution.
Yeah. I have a feeling if you come to Nashville, we'll be sitting for hours and just sharing ideas. I love that. I love the mastermind group and the inner circle group.
Me too.
I truly can't imagine doing it without the community that we have. And I just appreciate you and Amar and everybody else that is so selfless in the knowledge that they have and willing to just share all the knowledge. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you. And I definitely props to Amar, for really having the vision for ZenMade being like, an education platform as well, of like, just as like, this is free information, because truly, I think he's got, like the more we raise up our entire industry, the better. And that's how I see it. Because if we all collectively start charging how much we should and stop damn Home Aglow. I know I've called you out before, but like, you're just shitting on our whole industry, teaching people that incorrectly that that's an appropriate price, or, this is how you run things, et cetera, et cetera. So like, I want us all to be the most professional, the best running, because one, we're going to be able to serve and impact more like clients. We're going to be better bosses. We're going to give more to our communities. Like, it's just literally this ripple effect. And that's what education can do, in any industry. But like, looking at us, it's like the more every single one of us learn and levels up, like the ripple effect of every single person who's listening right now, implementing positive change in their business, it is 10x. It is, because it's like, it all comes from us as the owners. It's the clients, it's the customers, it's the community, right? Like, it's just, we can have such a large impact. And that's why I take it really seriously. So thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you. Truly.
Well, awesome, Brenna. If anybody wants to check out your social media, check out your website, see what Busy Bees is doing, where can they find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a Facebook page, Busy Bee 'S Cleaning Co. And of course, we're based out of Nashville, Tennessee. We also have an Instagram. I believe it's Busy BS Cleaning Co. And love both of those. We also have a very beautiful website, newly formed. It's called busycleaningintn.com.
Awesome. We'll make sure to link all of those below. And if you ever come to Savannah, Brenna, it's our favorite thing to like be on rooftop bars and watch the screaming bachelorette parties go, because you can hear them for blocks. It's like, there's one over there.
Well, let's go to Broadway, sis, because you'll really enjoy Broadway.
Yes. It's very fun. You can hear and see the pink for miles. So.
Absolutely, you can.
Well, awesome, Brenna. And thank you, everybody, for listening to another fantastic episode of Filthy Rich Cleaners podcast. Don't forget to hit that subscribe, hit that like, comment down below what your favorite part is, and we will see you in the next episode, guys. Thanks so much for watching.